Hello everybody, Adam Clery from FourFourTwo here. Spain are European champions, and deservedly so, having been the best team in the entire tournament and, more importantly, the best team in the final. But also, we should say that while England was second best in this game, I still thought they did a lot well. I still thought they did a lot right. It's just that this is a team capable of brilliant individual moments, and Spain are a team capable of brilliant structured play. And it was that clash of styles between the two teams that gave us a genuinely really enthralling and exciting final. And while this really is not the video I so desperately wanted to be making today, nonetheless, it was still a really interesting game. So, let's have a look at it. Now, okay, actually, before we start, I normally do this at the end of the videos, but I want to do it at the front today. I just want to say, like, a genuine, heartfelt thank you to anybody who has watched any of the videos we've done over the last month. Like, just this time last year, we still weren't really sure if we had a channel. We still weren't really sure what that channel was going to be. So to go from that to what I am reliably informed is the most watched tactical analysis of the Euros anywhere on YouTube is incredibly overwhelming. Like, if you've watched any of it, even a single minute, it is literally because of you that we are able to say that. So that's a mad thing to be able to say. I genuinely cannot articulate how grateful I am to be in that position. So yeah, gracias. But yes, anyway, the football. Right, so Spain was set up just as everybody expected. Obviously, Olmo's now in for Pedri. That creates a little bit of sort of confusion over what the midfield dynamic is, but it was more or less a 4-3-3 here tonight. And England, despite all the graphics being like, it's a 3-4-3, again, it was not at all. They went to a back four, Walker and Shaw as the fullbacks, and they put Bellingham out on the left-hand side instead of Foden. But why do that, right? Like, England looked way better as a 3-4-3, and Bellingham's obviously a goal threat, so you'd want him near Kane, and it's all about basically taking away Spain's best weapons. Well, first off, you definitely want to have a four at the back, because 𝗔𝗓 and Williams, while they can go either side and they both provide a goal threat, they do start very wide and slightly deep, so you'd either have to have the two wide centre-backs go all the way out to them, which is, you can already see, very dangerously stretched, or your two wing-backs, in this case would have been Shaw and Saka, they basically end up having to drop all the way back, and you just have a back five anyway. Combine that with the fact that Morata likes to drop really deep, and you'd end up having three players marking absolutely nobody, and Spain would just dominate the ball in the middle. But by going to a four instead, you've still got people who can keep an eye on Morata. You've got actual fullbacks doing the defending against the wide players, and Bukayo Saka does not have to worry about what's going on behind him. More on that later, and can focus on isolating 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏. But more importantly than that, the reason you go Bellingham on the left-hand side and Foden here was because Phil Foden had a very special job tonight, and that was live up Rodri's arse. And I actually think this setup is something that England did particularly well. Like, in the first half especially, Shaw and Walker felt like they were dominating those individual battles against Williams and 𝗔𝗓, but also Foden did more or less entirely shut down Rodri. Like, in that first half, and I just realised, by the way, I had the table the wrong way around, so I've flipped it. Just don't worry about it. Okay, in the first half, this was Williams and 𝗔𝗓's entire creative output. Passes, it's crosses, it's shots. Obviously, the green ones are successful, and the red are the ones that weren't. And you'll just notice they're virtually never able to do anything particularly incisive in the England box. They're getting on the ball a lot, certainly. There's a lot of sort of interplay around the outside, but Shaw and Walker in particular stopped them being any kind of major threat. Between the two of them, that's their only attempt on goal, and it was sort of a snatched at, blocked thing that wasn't really any threat to anybody. So on an individual battle, they were winning there. And this, again, in that first half, is Rodri's entire creative output. You can see he gets on the ball frequently. Spain sort of first pass out of defence. But unlike the entire rest of the tournament, where his ability to get on the ball in any sort of midfield position and play it forward between lines was one of Spain's greatest threats, you'll notice this is pretty much all sideways. And this felt genuinely really significant watching that first half, because if you watched our other videos on Spain, we made such a fuss of Rodri being able to pass the ball forward, basically being the opposite to how Declan Rice was playing. But England more or less stopped that happening at source. And this might look like a total mess, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? If I overlay Phil Foden's heat map along with Rodri's pass map, you'll basically just see that is a boy following a man around and stopping him having any fun. But why am I telling you this? England defended really well in the first half. Gee, wow! When's the parade? There were two halves and England lost. Well, because these two things here, Rodri getting on the ball, playing it forward, and Williams and Yamal beating fullbacks one-on-one, have been Spain's primary attacking threats in this tournament, and England being able to successfully snuff those out bodes really well. But what has made Spain the best team in this tournament by a mile, in my opinion, is their ability to adapt to these sorts of problems while they're on the pitch. And the way they adapted to this specific problem against England was brilliant. So in the first half, England end up in this scenario. You can see Spain have 5 players across the attacking line. England only have 4, and in particular, Williams has miles of space. And the reason they're so narrow here and unable to get out to him is because of this man. 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏 has come from the left-back area and made an underlapping run into sort of this channel here, effectively pinning Kyle Walker. He's now his problem because he's left Saka. He can't then go out to Williams. If you pause it right here, you'll see him pointing into this space. Like Walker and Saka on the fly aren't able to sort of coordinate how they're defending here. Like that's absolutely Saka's man, but he's come across onto Walker, so he should sort of be there. You need to basically juggle your responsibilities in a split second. They don't. And if Williams has a better delivery, England would have been in loads of trouble. And what England maybe should have picked up from the fact this kept happening in the first half was that Spain were going to be all about positional rotations. Players going into areas they don't expect to see who goes with them, to see if they can drag them out of position. And that's exactly where they get the opening goal from. Now, at the beginning of the move, it actually looks quite weird because this is Spain's back 4 all here, and yet Mainu and Rice don't seem to have anybody with them in the centre of the pitch. And that's because this isn't Spain's back 4. Fabian Ruiz has dropped out of that central area where Rice and Mainu are and just gone and stood in the right-back zone. Now, this presents a bit of a conundrum to Jude Bellingham, right? Because he's playing on the left-hand side of England's attack, so his responsibility is theoretically the right-back, and that's him. But also it's not, because his responsibility is actually Dani Carvajal, and he's here completely unmarked. And this happens so fast, and it is theoretically so simple, but it's just so brilliantly executed by Spain. Like, Bellingham can't not apply a little bit of pressure here, so he gets caught between Ruiz and Carvajal. Because the ball into him is quick and it is incisive, it bypasses Bellingham, meaning that Luke Shaw can't just leave Carvajal there, so now he gets caught between him and Yamal, who he was originally marking. And again, because Carvajal's touch is first time and it is quick and it is immediate, that then bypasses Luke Shaw, meaning that Marc Guéhi now has to step forward and look after Yamal. And just from that one positional rotation from Ruiz, Spain have been able to pull 5 England players, including the entire defence, along one player like they're all on a little string. And Kyle Walker here, you can see now, has a massive problem. Now, they didn't do anything wrong here, England. Like, Bellingham has to go out to Ruiz, which means Shaw has to go out to Carvajal, which means Guéhi has to come out to Yamal, which means Stones has to stick on Morata, and because of this run from central midfield, Walker has to pick up Olmo. Like, theoretically, Williams in that moment becomes Bukayo Saka's responsibility, but because Spain did all this so quickly, one-touch passing straight away, just incisive football, there's no chance whatsoever Saka's ever going to get back to cover that over. So they basically create a 5v4 at the back post. Williams is completely unmarked and scores. And that's just how good Spain have been at this tournament, like how well drilled these players are in all these little clever patterns of play. Like the moment Ruiz drops into that right back area, him, Yamal, Morata, Olmo, Williams, they all know what it is they're going to try and make happen. So as it starts developing, they all make the right runs. They all create the exact bit of space at the end of the move. But like I said at the start of the video, for all this Spain team has got this great structure and capable of these wonderful passages of play, this England side remained a team capable of incredible moments, and they manufacture one all their own. But the thing is, up until that Cole Palmer equaliser, England hadn't really offered anything in an attacking sense. Like, they certainly hadn't carved Spain wide open. They'd barely tested Simon, and that is because for all the good work they were doing off the ball, Foden, Walker, Shaw, etc., they weren't really offering anything on the ball. And I want to stress, right, I'm not digging players out or calling them rubbish or anything like that. This is just simply how the game was panning out. Their 2 major issues were Harry Kane and Jordan Pickford. And I know, like, I am a goalkeeper. I'm in the Union. I was out of my seat when he was making those saves. In terms of a shot-stopping performance, Jordan Pickford was an 11 out of 10 last night. He was brilliant, but with the ball at his feet, he was causing England major problems. There's a moment, and Shearer pointed it out on commentary towards the end of the first half, where John Stones demands the ball off Jordan Pickford from a goal kick. But he's having absolutely none of it. He instead wants to go long, he wants to go direct, he wants to get it into Spain's third of the pitch and make them deal with it. Now, we talked about it in a couple of other England videos across the Euros, right? Jordan Pickford's distribution is counterproductive to how England want to play on the ball. Like, these are all his successful passes across the 90 minutes, right? You'll see he finds a teammate in the opposition half, like twice, and in the opposition third, once. And I will tell you, by the way, of these 3 passes here, 2 of them were successful in the sense that England got ahead to it and then immediately lost the ball afterwards, right? So he's only really completed 1 pass into the opposition half. And then these are all his unsuccessful passes across the 90 minutes. You can see so many times he goes long into sort of the Spanish half or even deeper, and Spain just gobble that straight up and England give possession back. And just to go back to the successful passes, right? If you want to retain possession, if you want to be able to invite pressure on and play through it, you need a goalkeeper who's going to play the ball forward into this area. You also need players like 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 who can get it, who can turn, who can withstand that pressure, yes, but the goalkeeper's got to have the conviction to start that off. And you'll just see, not once in 90 minutes does Jordan Pickford play a forward ball into this vital area for building up attacks. But again, don't get me wrong, his handling, his coming for crosses, his overall command of his area, all the other elements to his game, superlative. Thought he was brilliant. But if you want to understand why England couldn't get any controlled possession, why Spain kept getting the ball back, that's a major, major reason. But also, if you want to understand why when they did get it in the final third, they didn't seem to be able to open Spain up, I do genuinely hate to say it, but the main reason for that was Harry Kane. Like, I could do an entire video on Harry Kane's tournament, like why it's gone the way it's gone for him, what's wrong with him in this team. But what it basically boils down to, right, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Either Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham are the absolute wrong kinds of player to be playing behind Harry Kane, or Harry Kane is the absolute wrong kind of centre-forward to be playing in front of them. What he wants to do is drop away from the 2 centre-backs and get on the ball in these sort of pockets, right? And he wants players to run beyond him into the space that creates. So either A, he can find them with passes and create chances, or if for whatever reason it goes out wide or they don't get in straight away, they pull the defence back into their own box, thus creating extra space, so when the ball does arrive, he can come in late and score. Now, that's worked brilliantly in the past for England because you've had Marcus Rashford or Raheem Sterling who love to make those kind of runs. It's worked brilliant for him at Bayern Munich because you've got Musiala and Sane and all the rest of them who love making those runs. But in Bukayo Saka, Phil Foden and Jude Bellingham, you do not have that. You've also got players who want the ball to feet. So it means that now when Harry Kane drops, first off, it forces whoever's in the 10 position to go out wide to try and find it, and they get a little bit lost. But when he does get the ball, or even if he doesn't, the defence can just hold their line. Nobody's going to run beyond them. And this is what that looks like in action, right? England's plan was to isolate Saka and 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏, and they managed to do that. He gets the ball on the right-hand side. He can take him on one-on-one. And because there's no run from Harry Kane that pulls the defence really far from the midfield, it means Spain can sort of keep this nice, solid block, defend it very well. They force Saka inside, and there's just loads of bodies. But this is the difference Ollie Watkins makes. Like, Ollie Watkins is not a better centre-forward than Harry Kane, just a different kind of centre-forward than Harry Kane. And in a team where everybody wants the ball to feet, his desire to run at the defence and get in behind opens everything up. It's this exact same scenario that nothing came of for England in the first half that leads to the equaliser. Because this time Saka gets the ball, he faces up 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏, he's pretty much in the exact same position, but Ollie Watkins runs in behind and pulls the entire Spanish defence with him, making a huge hole on the edge of the box. But this time Spain are on the edge of the 6-yard box, which means there's space between them and the midfield for someone like Bellingham to arrive late, which means this player has to track that run. They're getting pulled all out of position. So when it does come to him and he drops it off, there's this enormous amount of room for Cole Palmer. Like, it's absolutely night and day how that situation develops with someone like Kane playing centre forward versus somebody like Watkins playing centre forward. Like Spain are 10, 15 yards deeper. They're so much less organised. They've been disrupted. They've been rattled. And from that scenario, England can have one of their moments. Now, 72 minutes, a brilliant equaliser. I was convinced England would then go on and win that game probably in normal time. But for all they got like a few minutes of momentum from that goal as Spain sort of gave their heads a shake, they never got control of it. And for all that Spain are a team that's way more about the structure than the individuals, and England are a team that's way more about the individuals and the structure, the winning goal is just one of the most bizarre things you will ever see. Like, this is the 11 that England were going into the final stretch of that game with, right? And it is so full of brilliant attacking players. And this sounds ridiculous because of how good they both are, but Rice and Bellingham as two sitting sixes, two players who either haven't played in that position or really struggled in it across the last season, right? Being asked to sit there, they make the wrong decision. They both massively overcompensate. And as such, you get this huge gap between them and the three players ahead of them, and Spain will just kill you with that much space. But then, as brilliant the execution of what follows is, and I just need to reiterate, both this and the first goal only happen because Spain execute these small opportunities so well, right? There's just two decisions made by England players that cannot be made in a final. Now, first off, for all the two midfielders are too deep, England are actually quite nicely compact as a back four. They're all holding a good line. There's no real holes to attack them. But for whatever reason, when this ball goes in and Spain make the run designed to stretch the defence and pull them back to their goal, Kyle Walker just doesn't go with the rest of them. And the other decision, and again, I'm not digging anybody out or saying it's anybody's fault, but Bukayo Saka is a little bit slow to track Marc Cucurella's run. He allows him to get a couple of yards on him. And as a result, when that pass comes into Morata, this is the shape of England's back four, and this is the space that Cucurella has to run into completely unopposed. And then from there, it's just the finest of margins, which a team as good as Spain are capable of taking advantage of. Like, Cucurella is able to get that cross in that much before Walker makes the recovery run, and then the goal is scored with that much left before it's offside. And that's how you win finals. And I know everybody's really down on it and they're saying it's this player's fault, that player's fault, the manager's fault, they're all crap, etc. Like, I get it. Like, we've just been beat in a major final again, and that really fucking sucks. Like, it genuinely hurts to watch those games and to have to sort of slink away knowing it hasn't happened again. But just, honestly, as someone whose job it is to figure this out, right? I thought they were okay. I thought they really did do okay. And you have to, by the way, hold your hands up and recognize the quality in this Spanish side. Like, I know they were unfancied going into the tournament, and a month ago, a lot of these players weren't considered household names or big stars, but they absolutely should be now. Some of these players should be at the very, very top clubs in the world. So, and I did say I would learn how to say this when we've done the other videos on the Spanish side. Felicidades, España. Congratulations, Spain. Deserved winners of the tournament, deserved winners of this game as well. And as for England, one day. Now, if you have found this video in any way enlightening, or I don't know, like a bit of therapy or something like that, please do consider subscribing to us here at 442. The more subs we get, the more we can do next season. And my God, we are planning on doing so much next season, so it would be great to have you along for the ride. You can get me on all the socials at Adam Clery, Clery. I've stopped being hysterical there now. I'm being quite sort of calm about the whole thing. Somehow, the 442 socials there in the corner of the video. The latest issue of the mag is on sale now at all good retailers, and the crap ones as well. And from me, in the 442 Euros bunker, in a secret location somewhere in Europe, it's been real. Bye, everyone.